What is up, Friday Nighters? Welcome back to another episode of Just Another Friday Night. I am one of your two hosts, CM Chuck. The man across from me, the same guy I do this with every Friday night, Double A Adamantium Adam.
What's up, everyone?
And the man to Double A's right, my left, he's there, he's on the screen, Gerry D of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast about all things great in the 80s. Gerry, how are you doing, my friend?
I am wonderful, guys. I'm excited to be here to talk all things Moonlight.
Yes, Gerry, as Double A said the first time we tried this when I was not recording, because of course I've screwed things up.
No.
Gerry talked about this with us about a month ago, right?
Pretty much when the show was the first episode almost.
Again,
yeah.
Gerry is not a demanding man. However, he all but demanded to be on this episode, and we're more than happy to have him.
Yeah, because we don't know any Moonlight fans, honestly. Mm-hmm. Not saying anything bad about the character, but we just don't know any Moonlight fans.
We're Marvel guys, and we know of Moon Knight. Had his Marvel cards, read the backs. I might have been able to maybe get his real name if you'd have quizzed me, but anything else I would have been.
On that one.
Yeah,
you would have beat me on that
one. I'm really going out on a limb that I might have been able to. Yeah, well, we'll get there, right? Seriously, but before we get into that, Gerry D, we'd like to do a little bit of pop culture news and kind of talk about Steve. Cheers, buddy. Feel free to cheers with Steve there, Gerry. Whatever you're having there.
I don't know if you can see it here with my background.
It looks invisible.
Yeah.
There
it is.
There it goes,
Gerry. Gerry's working magic over there in the Totally Rad background. But cheers, Steve. Appreciate you being here.
Facebook user says, Gerry, I will miss the Moon Knight weekly posts.
That sounds like Mr. Antonio Caruso, all the way up in New York. Yes, we are big fans of Gerry's weekly Moon Knight post.
He said it's Scotch tonight, guys.
Because, with kids, I have to watch when I can. So it's usually get up like at 5:30 in the morning, try to cram it in, while I'm brushing my teeth and getting dressed. And so as soon as it was done, I was like, that was awesome. Moon Knight.
Yeah, I loved it, man. I loved it great. And you know what, Gerry? I just screwed up terribly. And yes, Steve Scott, you upgraded again, sir, so that's good to hear. We're doing beer, of course. And that was actually not Anthony, but Manny. I'm so sorry, Manny. Huge apologies. Manny, we love you here at Just Another Friday Night. So forgive me. When you're watching us via the Facebook group, for some reason, we don't see the name on the StreamYard app. So feel free, as you're commenting, put your name at the end, and we will give you all the credit you deserve.
And we'll let you, Steve, we can see Steve's name. So
yeah, because he's watching us via the Facebook page. And if you're watching,
Steve says he's getting a lot of feedback.
Oh, that's not good. And if you're watching us on YouTube, excuse me, we can see your name as well if you're watching us via YouTube. The feedback, I don't know. Maybe it's because we're shouting, but we can try to make a couple of adjustments as we go here without me moving the camera around too much. But Steve, let's see what I can do for you. Hopefully we can help it out with that. But guys, what happened in the world of pop culture news this week that you guys want to talk about, besides the very obvious? I'm going to say it up front. Please, no spoilers for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Double A has not seen it yet. Gerry and I have. We're not talking about it. Okay, Gerry, they said they're getting a little feedback on your end. So
okay, I can lower it.
Yeah, or maybe turn off the echo cancellation. I'm not sure. I know you don't typically use StreamYard. All of us podcasters that we typically visit on each other's use different software, so it's like you never know what you're going to get. But
okay, what about now?
Yeah.
Anyone tell us how Gerry sounds?
Yeah, Gerry.
Check. 1, 2, check. Mic
Steve,
check.
can you tell us how he sounds now?
Yeah, or Manny, if you're still with us, please let us know how Gerry is sounding and if we're getting any feedback.
Manny, I think he's
audio.
Said it's Manny, and now I'm leaving.
I know. Yeah, Manny says he's getting out of here. But yeah, guys, we will definitely discuss in depth Doctor Strange next week.
It says Gerry sounds sexy now.
Oh, okay. Very good. Okay.
Woo.
As he usually does. We would hate that the wife might be.
You need that sexy voice, right, for radio?
Absolutely. And podcasting. And Gerry got plenty of
Steve says he sounds better.
Okay, perfect.
Steve says he sounds better now. So
wonderful.
Okay, cool.
We're good. We're not going to touch anything else.
I know, but that's it. So I guess I could start with earlier in the week, guys. We had May the 4th, right? May the 4th be with you.
It's a big week for Star Wars lovers this week. May the 4th.
Revenge of the
Revenge of the
Fifth.
Fifth, and Gerry goes, "This is May.
This is the May.
This is the May."
Gerry, do you have any May the 4th traditions, things that you do? Obviously, you posted in your group, the Totally Rad Christmas. Is it arcade and...
Yeah, it's Totally Rad Christmas Mall and Arcade.
Mall and arcade. I love it. I love it. It's so 80s.
Yeah, exactly. No, nothing really special. I mostly my brother and I talk. That's like our, because he's a huge Star Wars fan, so it's like that's our thing. And like I gotta talk to my brother. But it's actually my aunt's birthday. My youngest brother Danny, the one that's been on a few times.
Nice.
But it's my aunt's birthday, who's also my godmother. So normally I get it's like call her. But as far as like Star Wars, I try if I can to listen to the Imperial March, because who doesn't love the Imperial March? But no, I don't really have like a big thing. What about y'all?
No, but I mean, TNT and TBS, they were showing the movies, so I was just watching the movies. My wife was asking me too. She was like, "When did this become a thing?" I go, "Honestly, I don't know. I don't remember when all of a sudden May the 4th started happening."
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
yeah. Do you remember, Gerry, or have a specific line on when it got big?
I don't actually. This is one
like
that
it
always seems like it was just there. Yeah. Like I don't remember it in the 80s, but I remember it in the 90s and like early 2000s, I think. Like late 90s, early 2000s is when I really remember people saying it.
I don't even remember
but it wasn't like a big thing. It was just like a couple of us Star Wars geeks were like, "Hey, may the 4th be with you." Okay, yeah. That's it,
I was giving all the credit.
All it takes.
Yeah, I was giving all the credit to social media because that's really when I first started hearing about it, which is really cool. Steve says he really likes the background, Gerry. Great job on that.
Oh, thanks.
Sweet background.
So yeah, nothing. Me, I watched Jedi because that's my favorite.
Cinco de Mayo, happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Big day for a lot of people.
Right. For sure. And then there was a new Obi-Wan trailer. I haven't seen it yet, but you two both saw it.
Just really
liked
cool.
it. Yeah,
it was a very action-packed trailer.
So a lot of the old footage from the previous one.
No.
Okay, all new stuff.
All new stuff.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, I think we'll all be definitely watching that.
Yeah,
no doubt.
6-parter.
Totally.
I'd say it was a 6-parter. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully
it did say 6.
Yeah.
And knowing what we're going to talk about tonight with Moon Knight, I feel a little bit like sometimes 6 isn't enough, right, Gerry?
It did. As much as I liked this one, it did feel like it needed like another episode or two just to kind of flesh things out a little bit. It felt really rushed at the end.
That's what Sam said, actually.
Yeah, I like 8. I feel like 8's good.
8 would have been a good number.
8 can do.
I think 8 would have been good. Yeah.
What else? Anything else big that happened? Double A and I told you this, Gerry, but super comic book artist and creator Rob Liefeld will be in San Antonio next Monday. So it'll be before we do our next episode.
Saturday he's heading up to Houston. Then Monday he's coming here. And then the other 2 days he's going to be in Dallas, and then he's going to be in Austin. And I was hearing his podcast. He said he's doing this little Texas tour because his son is graduating from Texas, from somewhere, I think, in Austin. So I guess he's just like, you know what, I'm just going to do a real small tour, and, it'll lead to my son's graduation. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Cool.
Yeah, I know the news from our local comic store that's hosting him, Dragon's Lair. It came up, one of the many local comic stores. It popped up kind of quick. We were like, it was like the announcement, and then I was like, oh, it's going to probably be like in a few months. And I was like, oh, dang, it's like in a few weeks. It was kind of crazy. So are you a fan, Gerry? I feel like you might have strong feelings about Rob Liefeld.
I actually like Rob Liefeld. He's very hit or miss, though. Like, if you think about when his Captain America title from the Heroes Reborn in the 90s, and, Cap's chest is, like, just protruding like crazy. And then he has trouble with feet, I feel like. He can't draw feet very well.
And, his podcast, he makes fun of that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
he does homage a lot of, like, comic covers and panels and stuff a lot.
Yes.
But I actually think that's kind of cool. When you can homage something, and it's not like he's the only one. Like every comic book artist, John Byrne ripped off, what's his name, Neil Adams. Before. So, and God rest his soul. But it's just I actually really like Rob Liefeld. So
yeah. Cyclops and Jean, you were saying?
Yeah, that cover where he's holding, Jean, and then it's
right.
Crisis, and
it's
that's
Crisis.
Superman.
Yeah, and
Supergirl.
Right, yeah.
That cover is
also there's the one with where Jean Grey is, she's like Dark Phoenix, and she's
the X-Men.
The X-Men. Yeah. That was a
Neil Adams
homage
did
to
that.
Neil Adams.
Yeah.
But again, the sincerest form of flattery, right? I mean,
and he says it on his podcast too. He goes that when I do that is a homage to those great artists. Like he always makes sure to say that, that was for Frank Miller. Yeah, that was for John Byrne. Yeah, it's for Neil Adams, So
if you take that away, you just limit our artists and the things that.
And then people have done his covers now like crazy. The blobbing people, cover a blob, in the background. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it happens in everything, right, Jeremy? You're a big music guy. People sample each other all the time, right? I mean,
exactly.
People say that, Tarantino's not original because he borrows a lot from Scorsese,
everywhere,
and everywhere. Obviously, things like Django and Kill Bill, it comes right out of other stuff. So, and he's not shy about it. So, let's see. Someone says, "Hi guys." I'm not sure who that was.
That was Roxanne.
That was Roxanne.
Okay.
And is it also Roxanne who says Doctor Strange was a trash can?
Okay.
No, that was CJ.
Oh, CJ is here. Hi, CJ. We appreciate you being here. Double A hasn't seen it yet, CJ, so we're avoiding spoilers. But
even though the trailer did spoil, it looks like a lot.
Your heart opinions
if they had kept that secret, my head would have exexploded. But they totally revealed all that. And it was like, why?
I know, right? Keep it a secret.
Steve says, sorry, Jerry,
I think because he spelled Jerry with J.
Yeah, gotcha. Oh, good catch, Steve. We appreciate that, brother.
But yeah, it without any spoilers, it seems like very divisive. Like people either really like it or don't. And at least in my group of comic book geeks, like half like it and half don't. So it's like I don't know.
People are kind of like that with Thanos. Remember, because like in the comic book, he kind of snaps away half the universe for death.
For death,
and here, in the movies, it was kind of like to
bring balance.
Yeah, bring balance.
Like population
bring balance to the force.
I thought that the comic book version was much darker and more ominous. It
was totally. Yeah.
So I felt like,
and I know that was like a big thing to a lot of people. Was kind of like, oh man, that's kind of stupid.
It lent a lot more to the madness of the Mad Titan because you're almost kind of sympathetic towards him. And then with Eternals, you almost feel like with Eternals, they make him almost like a sympathetic character.
Like he was right.
Like he was right. I'm like, what? Like that's bullshit. So Roxanne identifies herself and says that Starla with her. Hi, Starla. Happy birthday again. Thank you so much for inviting us. Forgive our bad words on this side, not Jerry. Cool, man. Well, Jerry, we know that you're on you're not on a time crunch anymore, but we just want to be respectful of your time. So before we get into the topic, let me shill our merch as I do. Guys, I haven't put up the TikTok yet I'm going to make of this, but we just got these from our great friend at Deuces Mercado. Annie has made us another little slick piece of merch here. These are a very limited number. They are only one of each color. I have already sold the red. I don't know why I never thought of this. So shout out to my buddy John at work who gave me the idea to make a coffee mug or whatever. And so there you go. If you would like your own Just Another Friday Night coffee mug, send me a message, send me a DM, and I can get you one. This one is in the indigo color. It's like a purple, like a violet, more like a violet. And it is printable, the QR code. So,
hey, all right. Look at that.
Someone at work was like, you should make coffee mugs. I would drink out of one. And then he did. So, I was like, John wasn't lying. So, John, I appreciate the idea. And if anybody else would like a coffee mug, please reach out to me and I will get you one. This one will be available for sale. So let's talk about that. Let's see. Everyone wish Jerry a happy birthday too. Okay, happy birthday,
happy birthday, Jerry.
Jerry, when? Hey. Who's saying birthday? Who's messing with us? Is that CJ again?
That was CJ.
All right, well, happy birthday, Jerry.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah.
CJ just jerks our chain. He knows we're going to listen,
And hey, real quick, dude, I went to Alien Worlds today, and I've been wanting to read the story, and they finally put it in trade paperback. It's the Spirits of Vengeance: The Rise of the Midnight Suns. So I'm pretty excited.
That takes me back.
Yeah, so because all the talk now about maybe the Midnight Sun's coming in, so that'd be pretty awesome. So
Gerry, I was telling Double A, man, I was buying those issues when they were in the polybagged, version of those. Yeah, man.
Which Gabriel says, guys, if you have polybags, take them out of the polybagger.
Yeah,
because they're eating up the paper.
Yeah, they're very acidic. The old polybags.
And CGC, if you do send it to the CGC, they're gonna rip it out anyways
and throw it away. They throw away your polybag. So I wonder what they do if there's like a card or something in there. You get
just
your card
away
back.
Too?
You probably just chuck the whole thing.
Yeah,
so
probably.
Yeah. So anyway, without further ado, guys, we got Gerry here for a real specific reason, and we want to get right to that. The most recent Disney Plus Marvel show was one that I don't know how fans really felt about it. Some people were really excited, like yourself, right, Gerry?
I was super excited. Yeah.
Us, we were kind of like, I'm not really sure.
I was excited because it was Oscar Isaac.
Yes, me too.
Okay, now I don't know anything, like I said, about the Moon Knight character. If you ask me about his origins, any stuff like that, no.
Same.
But I was really interested to see how this was going to go. It was going to kind of be a new branch. Kind of in the Marvel universe that we hadn't seen before, kind of. So I was really going to be interested in this.
What I remember was, and I don't think it was Marvel Knights, Gerry, and I know you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a series of covers that David Finch did, and they looked so awesome, man. Like I was like, damn, he looks badass.
I have one cover of that because of that.
Yeah,
it was,
because
his art for Moon Knight's run, actually.
Oh, okay.
He was an artist on Moon Knight's run for I think in 2002 or 2003-ish, somewhere like early to mid 2000s. And he was the artist on that, and they were sick. They were.
He was doing interiors too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's I love it when it's the cover artist on both, because you're getting like all that. So tonight we're gonna talk about that 6-episode Marvel. What do they even call it now, guys? Is it a mini series, a limited series?
I think it's limited
series. I think is the official term. Yeah,
because he says they haven't had plans for season 2.
Right. So normally it's just another Friday night here, but tonight it's just another Friday Moon Night. We're talking Moon Night.
See what you did there.
If I don't get in a bad dad joke or two, then it's just no fun for me. So.
Corey, you're just in time. We're about to deep dive into
Corey, we're about to talk Moon Knight.
If you have any thoughts, start posting them.
And if you have any questions, especially related to the comic books, we got a true pro here with Gerry D.
I don't know about that. I'm okay. I don't know if I'm saying pro.
I made some brief notes.
Okay, so this is what I heard, because Liefeld actually did a episode about Moon Knight to kind of get people kind of up to date. And I listened to it, and he kind of said that when he first made his appearance, I guess, in Werewolf by Night, that he was part of an assassination, like an assassin group that was sent to kill Werewolf by Night, just in those first 2 issues. And then I guess they kind of changed it when he got his own series.
Yeah, essentially. So originally in Werewolf by Night number 32, he was hired by a group called the Committee.
Yeah, there you go.
To capture.
Capture.
It wasn't necessarily to kill him. It was to capture him. They wanted him alive. They wanted to use him as like a weapon and somehow experiment on him and kind of gain like longevity, a longer life, something like that. He kind of starts feeling bad, and it's later retconned that whole thing was set up. So like the Committee actually gave Mark Spector that costume and was like, you're gonna use this costume. We're gonna call you Moon Knight. And later it was retconned that he and Frenchie kind of infiltrated it. Frenchie being his his buddy and fellow mercenary and comrade in arms. Frenchie kind of infiltrated. Was like, hey, look, you should use this. I think it'd be kind of cool. Werewolves, Moon, and so even though he was already Moon Knight at that point. But of course, we didn't know any of this when he first debuted. It was just the Committee gave him this costume, and he even makes fun of it. He's like, "Yeah, they gave me this dumb costume. Like, I don't know what's going on."
Do you kind of like
mid-70s? So he's almost jive talking. It's crazy.
But. Do you kind of like that little kind of like origin, or you kind of prefer what they did with him later?
I prefer the miniseries origin.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just a cooler origin where he's a mercenary. He gets second thoughts about killing some civilians, and his boss takes him out, and he crawls his way to the statue of Khonshu, and the god Khonshu, Moon God, kind of basically brings him back. So. And
that is,
I think that's a cooler origin
we saw in the show.
So that's what we saw. Yeah.
So Corey says, I loved it. Go ahead, Double A.
Yeah, he goes, I'm loving this new Dark Marvel we have coming. And he says, also, I think Moon Knight will eventually tie into bigger MCU, Midnight Suns, and even Blade. So that's what Corey thinks right now. As far
I could
as
see
Moon
that.
Knight.
He's definitely got a
You can't waste someone.
vibe to
You
him.
can't waste someone like Oscar Isaac. You got to
No.
use him in the Marvel series.
For real.
You know.
Yeah. And by the way, I mean, like, I know we're going to talk about it, all of us, I'm sure, but he was fantastic. I thought
he
was
killed
fantastic.
it, man. He killed it.
He was great.
Yeah.
Did you ever have, in your opinion, Jerry, like a dream casting for Moon Knight? Was there someone
not really a dream casting, but I remember watching Community and thinking, what's his name, the lead in Community? I can't remember his name now. Shame on me. I actually thought he would do a good job, and he's proven himself later on to actually be a pretty good actor. But I remember thinking, like, this guy's got like just enough crazy in his eyes that I think he'd pull off a good Mark Spector, and he kind of looked the part as well, so that helped.
I'm trying to think of who you're talking about, because that
I know I can't.
Not Joel McHale, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh,
I
wow.
actually thought he would be a pretty good Mark Spector. Of course, Oscar Isaac, way better. But but you know, at the time I thought this guy actually wouldn't be bad, especially for like a lesser known character. It would give him a chance to, like, you know, show his chops and his range. I was like, yeah, that'd be great. But no, I'm glad we got Oscar Isaac, because he made the transition from like alter to alter, you know, persona to persona, just seamless and flawless. And it's like, I don't know who could have done better, honestly.
Yeah. Do you guys think that, or do you know, Jerry? I'm sure you know, but is ethnicity like something involved? I don't know Oscar Isaac's ethnicity.
No.
He is Guatemalan, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, because Oscar Isaac, obviously, they sometimes take a stage name, right? It's like you're very like ambiguous, you know, the name.
Yeah.
Right.
But it seemed like they were leaning towards like an Egyptian, maybe. He was
maybe they thought because he played Apocalypse.
I think he can pull it off. He does kind of have a little bit of that look, but mostly I think because Mark Spector's Jewish, you know, and of course later on we see that scene, you know, at his mom's Shiva. But I mean, I think that's why they kind of,
and you know what, that resonated too. You know, the dark curly hair and the olive skin. So I get it. So he's saying Mark Spector is Jewish, and Double A confirmed on the net that he Oscar Isaac is Guatemalan. So, but yeah, great. What a perfect. Again, I was like, wow, this is like good casting. I mean, and again, this is me not knowing the character a lot, but being like, I mean, he's just killing it, you know.
And you know, I kind of like that going in, because I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't know.
Right.
You know, I didn't want to be angry at characters. Like Ethan Hawke was really great in this series. I was like, wow, he's like really creepy in the first episode. Like just the beginning scene.
Oh yeah.
Where, you know, he drinks, you know, whatever his
and then he like smashes
he puts him in his shoes. I'm like, oh, like I was like,
Yeah. That's one of the things me and Double A discussed, Jerry, that kind of like, you know, of course we're big comic book fans, we're big Marvel fans, but we're the hugest Moon Knight fans. So for us, it was kind of like we're trusting Marvel and we're trusting what their work, and we're just going to go into it blind.
Right.
And it was fun that way. It was kind of nice to not have, you know, drawing all these comparisons.
And
normally people are like, oh, who's that? Or what's going on? And this was the time we're both like, I don't know. You know, we know what you know.
See, and actually being a Moon Knight fan, I actually enjoyed a lot of the changes here. Normally, you know me, I'm a purist. I like to see things as close to the comics as possible. In this case, I think it's so obscure that it's okay if they made changes. So like with something popular, I'd prefer Bucky to have taken over as Captain America before Sam. You know, that's like where I'd prefer. But in this case, Moon Knight is, I mean, nobody knows Moon Knight. So like you said, who are the Moon Knight fans, you know, except for like this few. So I think it was okay. Harrow is another example. In the comics, he comes out like once, like literally one issue. It has nothing to do with anything Egyptian. He's like trying to create like some sort of cyborg clone powered army, and that's it. So it's like completely different. So I really enjoyed what they did with him here, especially bringing in all the Egyptian mythology, and of course the director and showrunner being Egyptian really helped.
Oh, it looked beautiful too. I mean, like once they got to Egypt, I was like, this is gorgeous. And it gave off like the mummy vibes, the fun mummy vibe. Of it. And like,
I wanted to kind of ask you guys that too. What do you guys think now? Because it's kind of like now they're bringing in, you know, now we know they have Norse mythology, the Wakanda gods, the Egyptian gods now. And obviously Cap says in Avengers, you know, there's only one God, and I'm sure he doesn't dress like that. So now they're kind of bringing in all this other kind of mythology and saying that there is these gods here too.
I don't know. Did you say Greek?
Not yet. They haven't introduced them yet. But they are.
But they are.
Because we've seen. So now we're going to have the Greek gods too. Yeah. So what do you guys think about that?
I mean, they're all there in the comics. So.
Yeah, I mean, what you think that's cool that they're bringing in all those? I mean, all the kind of different gods.
The pantheons, the different pantheons. Yeah. I don't mind it.
I don't care either. Like you said, it's in the comimics. So I mean, it's cool that they're doing that.
And
so as long as there's precedent, I'm cool.
Right. Because Hercules falls under Greek or Roman.
Greek.
Okay, Greek.
So well, so in Greece, it's actually even though Hercules, they lump him in with Greek stuff. Like they'll say his dad is Zeus, and also his actual Greek name is Heracles, and
Heracles, that's
the
right.
Roman form.
See,
I was super into like Greek and Roman mythology back in the day. I know a little bit about Egyptian and a little bit about Norse, but like I used to be super into the Greek. So seeing Hercules in there and Zeus come down and like the battle of the Sky Fathers, and all that stuff. That was always really cool. And now, of course,
I think it's just really cool that they're doing that. They're bringing all these gods from the comics.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's cool. And they even said that there was even one guy that was wearing a Rama Tut kind of like jacket.
Which is Kang the Conqueror when he.
Which I was kind of hoping they were going to drop in a little.
That would have been nice.
If they would have had like a Rama Tut statue somewhere. I was like, oh man, that would have been cool.
It was the kid that like cuts his tie. And
funny.
Okay, very cool. There is I think there was a grouping maybe of fans that watched this just looking for Easter eggs and other stuff and weren't kind of along for the ride with Moon Knight, because there were people that were talking about like, was there Doctor Doom stuff in the background? Were they in Latveria? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the Latveria, almost from the first episode, people were like, was that Latveria? Was that Latveria?
It could be. I don't know.
Yeah, like how did you feel about that, Gerry? You were in it for the ride. You were in it for the Moon Knight story.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I wanted to see the adventure, the spectacle, the story, but mostly I wanted to see if they could capture, because Moon Knight's always been great, but it wasn't really until like Warren Ellis's run that I started getting into it. And then from there, Jeff Lemire and like that whole mental thing. Because when he first debuted, those personalities, Stephen Grant, Jake Lockley, they weren't actual like other personas. They weren't alters. They were just like a persona he would adopt, like Batman, adopts Matches Malone. It wasn't like an actual different personality. That was retconned later, and it was really solidified in like the early 2000s. Even though there was like a writer or two that would try to hint at it, it was always like, well, Stephen Grant would, I think he needs to pay them a visit, and then he'd go dress and pretend he was Stephen Grant. So it wasn't like an actual thing until later on. But Jeff Lemire and Warren Ellis, they like really got into that and just the psychology of it, and those runs are phenomenal. So I highly recommend it. Start at Warren Ellis's run in like 2012 or 14, something like that, and just read on from there. And like it's perfect. And this show really captured that, and I loved the different aspects, between him and Steven and
yeah.
Of course, now, spoiler
CN was not a big fan of Steven, like in the first 2 episodes.
Well, and this Steven is very different from comic book Steven. So comic book
Steven is like a suave,
smooth billionaire guy. He's worth like $2 billion. So he's.
I told AA early on, when we're not doing the show, we're texting each other back and forth about stuff we're watching.
Right.
I said, dude, I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed by the Steven character. I want more Mark Spector. I like seeing the Moon Knight costume. I thought he looked badass. He was kicking ass. And I'm like, I don't like spending time with this character. It was making me upset. It wasn't until like episode maybe like 3 or
I think it was 3.
Yeah.
It could have been 3.
Then I started to kind of like get a little bit on board. But of course, when, he meets his, supposed demise, I was like, I texted AA and said, I feel kind of bad now for Steven. I had a flip. So we got a lot of Fast and Furious comments from Corey coming in. Gerry, I want to read some of these while we're here live with us, so that way maybe you can give your thoughts and opinions on these comments. Go ahead, AA.
Okay.
His first one says Marvel is doing a good job with storylines. I read and loved some of the old comics, but why repeat? Do you love how they're using some of the old costumes? What do you think, Gerry? Do you like how they're using some of the old costumes?
In regards to just Marvel
I
in
guess
general, or
I guess
I
maybe
mean,
I think he means like how we see like in Thor: Love and Thunder.
he goes
the
right here.
old-
He goes, they know some of the comic uniforms in Strange, but I love how they changed some of the stories to the original.
oh, I see what they're saying. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I love when they use. I mean, like I said, I'm like a comic purist. I prefer things to be as close to the comics as possible because that's what you read, that's what you grew up with, that's what you want to see. So yeah, I love that they're using um, the materials close, but at the same time, sometimes stories don't adapt very well from comic to screen. Sometimes there
Well,
has to be changes.
yeah,
Um, so like in the Watchmen, how they made Doctor Manhattan, like the big bad instead of like that big fake alien,
yeah,
thing. That made no sense in the comic.
the
And this way,
tachyon.
I thought it was actually an improvement. So
Yeah,
I do like how they kind of create their own stories. They take bits from this episode, bits from this issue, bits from this storyline, and kind of combine them. So like Thor Ragnarok, it was like World War Hulk, but it was also Ragnarok, kind of mashed together, and all sorts of other things. So I do enjoy that, but I like seeing, yeah, I do like seeing when they take the costumes from the comics. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah. I certainly dig that too. They find a way to like like with Cap, they get to incorporate that really right out of the comic book look for that
Yeah,
moment.
like I popped like when in the first Thor when he's wearing a helmet. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man,
Yeah.
I don't think he ever does again. But I'm
No.
like, man, he
Only
looks
in
so badass
Ragnarok
in the plastic
in the
uniform.
arena, he puts that thing
Yeah,
down,
that's
and
right.
it's like,
Yeah. And then we see, of course, in the beginning of the trailer, Love and Thunder, he's
Oh,
kind
Love
of
and
running
Thunder.
and he's got the old suit on, and what they did
Oh
Loki,
yeah.
obviously, we got to see the old
Yeah.
Loki costume. They've done it a couple times.
They've done it like even in WandaVision.
WandaVision, right? Yeah, with
Yeah.
WandaVision, which
Yeah,
is
the
great.
Halloween costumes.
Yeah, you find a way to work it in, then you have that imagery, then you can make a
And then
Funko Pop out of it, and it's great.
Exactly. But at the same time, you do kind of have to make it more functional. I mean,
Yeah,
like, it really doesn't make sense for Wanda to be out, in just like a little leotard fighting
right.
crime. I mean, she needs a little more protection. Well, she doesn't, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like people, they need a little bit more. So I get why they have
Yeah.
like the Kevlar and, the all the stuff for guns and pockets and whatever.
Right
So,
before the show started, we just got into a conversation. We were, talking about the Liefeld visit and, the flack he got for Reborn, Heroes Reborn with, changing Cap's A to an eagle. And it
oh
was like
yeah,
a big deal. And I remember thinking to myself, man, he was revamping the look. He didn't fix the Buccaneer boots, which never bothered me. But I just figured if you're going to make a change like the A to an eagle, why not give him like combat boots?
right.
And we both agreed that we love what they did in some of the Avengers movies and the Captain America movies. They got the costume really sharp and it looked really nice. And others, you were kind of like scratching your head, like the first Avengers, like
The
wow,
first one is bad. Yeah,
he looks like a dork. That the helmet looks like shit. Like it's just like not good. But in like by Civil War, it looks pretty rad.
yeah.
I think
It looks awesome. Yeah.
And then it's
even Winter Soldier, where he's
Yeah.
got the the Captain Rogers outfit. I mean, that one's
definitely that one's definitely badass.
But you can still is like comic-y though, like
Right.
like the X-Men just went completely away from all that.
Yeah.
We never saw Wolverine like in a yellow or brown or anything. We never saw Cyclops in the blue.
Yeah.
Anything.
Right.
It was just all black.
And to me, you can make anything functional still. I mean, they did it perfectly with Cap later on when they got it really right.
Right.
And it's like you kind of got to give he's this symbol, he's standing for this. The colors are still there, but it's still a tactical outfit. I mean, like
Right.
I mean, look how close they got Sam. In Falcon and Winter Soldier, it was like spot on.
Right.
To bring it back full circle, Gerry, at the end of episode 1, we get, I'm sure what you were waiting for, and even I geeked for it. I was like, oh shit, there he is. Like, I thought it looked really cool, like the way it,
I liked it too.
got on him. I mean, how'd you feel about it?
So I really enjoy. I mean, I wish that it was a little more practical and less CG on some of it. The CG you can tell.
I did see it too.
And you're just like, that hand doesn't look right, But at the same time, I did like the look. So they kept the basic look. They kind of added some elements from when he was the Fist of Honshu. in the 85 run where he's got like more of the gold and he uses like the Ankh and some of those other weapons, those special weapons that were given to him. So they added some of the gold. I thought that was really cool. But at the same time, they just made it look very Egyptian, almost mummy-ish.
That's what I was thinking.
Which is super cool, and made sense because of Khonshu, so it's like everything about it. I really dug. I thought it was great. Would I have liked to see the other outfit with the black? Yeah, that would have been cool. That redesign in 2014. But at the same time, I thought they did fantastic, and Mr. Knight was like on point. Like that was exactly like it was like, yeah, this guy. So.
Very cool. Very cool. You guys
looks more comfortable.
Yeah.
It does look more comfortable, yeah.
Double A's done enough episodes with me to know that I'm a mild video game player, and I play Fortnite with my nephew.
Okay.
I don't know if your kids play that at all, Gerry. It's kind of for the kids, Fortnite.
Right.
But they put Moon Knight out, and you've got the two options of give me Moon Knight or the Mr. Knight costume.
Okay.
I'll play with my nephew, and we'll each wear one. And he likes the Mr. Knight costume, which I did think looked cool. Although in his first appearance in the episode, I was like, man, this guy's a total dweeb. Like I was like, I just couldn't get into him. I was like, man, you suck, man. Like, let Mark take over. Like, I want to see Mark dragging kicks ass, In the comic books, Gerry, is the costume like that? Does it come from within, like it's summoned, or is it like he puts it on?
No, it's an actual costume.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's an actual costume. So that was something different, but it was kind of cool. And again, it made sense that, it was having to do with like he's this avatar for a god from the overvoid. I mean, it makes sense,
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that, but at the same time, the one thing that Mr. Knight later on is like awesome, of course, spoiler alert for episode 6, but when he first appears, it's like Steven's version of the suit, and he has no idea what he's doing. But like you start off with in that Ellis run I was telling you about, right away it starts off Mr. Knight. He goes exploring. He's like doing detective work. I mean, it's like an awesome, thing. And you're like, this guy takes out like this whole building of thugs, just him. He's got his truncheon, but then he smashes it, and so he has to just kind of improvise. And I mean, it's cool. So
is that?
I was a little bummed at first, but then seeing him go was like, yeah, let's get into it.
Is that character created by Warren Ellis then?
I think he was kind of around before, but he really was popularized by him.
I had never knew that about there was a Mr. Knight. I was like, ooh, so I didn't know about that at all. I only knew about Moon Knight.
Right.
Yeah, it's like really when he deals with like police or like someone more official, he'll kind of go with Mr. Knight. And lately in the comics, now that he is kind of like Khonshu's high priest, he kind of wears that as like the start of. He kind of adopted a neighborhood. He calls it like his mission, and it's like, okay, welcome to the the mission or Khonshu's mission. How can I help you? And so while he's dealing with these people that are coming for help, he wears that because it's a little more normal looking than some of his other stuff.
What did you guys think of F. Murray Abraham doing the voice of Khonshu?
I thought he was good.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It was like very powerful.
Very powerful. Very
baritone-y. Yeah, just booming.
Kind of scary too at some time.
I thought so too. And he's like kind of yelling at him, and he's telling him stuff. You're
Get
like,
up, idiots.
Yeah. And summon the suit. Summon the suit. I thought that was a really like standout line. But man, it was great, and it was kind of cool to see his name at the end because I had to put a name with a face real quick, and I was like, oh wow,
right.
What a great choice, a powerful voice.
I like that too. I like the thing of Amit, her whole story, her being badass, like her role, like in the gods and everything. I was like, damn, to judge right away, I was like,
I know, yeah, that's crazy.
Corey says here, getting some rumors. He feels like Marvel's going to split the MCU to different categories: mystic, cosmic, like more earthbound. Maybe
like
he
they do in the
like
comics.
Street
Like
level.
they do in the comics.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many heroes, and
because that's what the Netflix shows were supposed to be, right? The ground.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, they were supposed to be the street level.
Where do you rank Moon Knight in that if there were that kind of splitting of the brand, so to speak, Gerry, you put Moon Knight in with guys like Ghost Rider, Blade, and maybe the Black Knight who's coming, right?
I would like that a lot.
You could.
Or do you keep him street level with like they do with Marvel Knights with your Daredevil and your Punisher? I feel like he's a little bit overpowered.
He's one of those that could go both, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he does a lot of he deals with a lot like Bushman, the what is it, the slasher, night slasher, all those guys that Midnight Man. I mean, like he is very street level. But then he also deals with werewolves and vampires, and so
I like that aspect better.
So it's like, okay, let's do, So I think he could actually float from either side, So like if they needed him in Shadowland, I mean, God forbid they ever do that, and if they do, I hope they improve it. But like if they needed him for Shadowland, he could do that. But if they needed him for something else, Midnight Suns, he could go over there.
Ooh, that'd be awesome. I think that I kind of like him more in like that.
You can kind of replace Morbius with him because obviously they don't have Morbius,
right?
That's a Sony thing. So maybe if they went that way.
And based on what Morbius just did, it might be a better move for them to go with this move here. Corey, you had a few other comments in there, but Double A hasn't seen Multiverse yet, so we're staying really away from Doctor Strange right now tonight. Next week we'll be all in, but we don't want to ruin it for anyone else out there too that hasn't seen it. It just came out. Obviously, some of us, rush to the theater as we do sometimes, but others of us not available to do so. All the time. I could have very easily been in that category too. Usually when a big movie like that comes out, we won't be here on Friday. We'll do it on Thursday. And in fact, we'll talk about it at the end, but I think we're doing next week's on Thursday. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Because we're going to hang out with Friday Nighter Roxanne. She's got a cool Friday the 13th thing going on. She's a big horror buff, and we're going to go and hang out.
Yeah, because next week is Friday the 13th.
Yeah, which to her is like a holiday. So, Gerry, you had Foxy Roxy on your show talking chocolate shortcake. So
that's right. Yeah,
you're very familiar with her there. Gerry, does Moon Knight have like is there like I know you mentioned Harrow was kind of like a one-time guy in the comics. What is there like a primary villain of his that you would have liked to have seen?
So I didn't hear any of that. You guys you cut off for some reason.
Oh, totally cut off. I don't know.
There you are. I hear you now.
Are we good?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. What I was saying, Gerry, just is there? I know Harrow was a one-time only, but was there a primary villain you would have liked to have seen Moon Knight face off against? Does he have like a, like what Green Goblin is to Spider-Man, or what Red Skull is to Cap? Yeah, Magneto.
He does. Yeah. So his main villain is Raul Bushman. He was like his former CO, his partner. He's the one that killed Dr. Allrain. Sorry, I looked it up how to pronounce it because it's like a German word. Alrana, and his daughter Marlene Alrana was kind of like they kind of merged a couple to form Layla for the show. But he's the one that it was on that mission, and he's the one that's tortured Mark. That's kind of been after him. He's kind of hard to kill. He's pretty cool. He's got like a tattoo of like a skull on his face.
Okay,
but it's kind of like a demonic skull. And in that Finch's run, that's when he really went all out brutal. He was just super brutal, and so he actually carved that off Bushman's face.
Oh, wow.
Of course, Bushman died, and then it's comics, so he was resurrected later. But of course. But he's who I was expecting to see. So when they said Harrow, I was like, Arthur Harrow. And I didn't even remember him. I had to go look him up and go back to find the issue. But I thought they did great with Harrow. I thought Ethan Hawke killed it. He just nailed. He kind of had that weird culty, vibe that was just perfect for that role. So I'm glad they went with him. But I would have liked to have seen Bushman. Midnight Man actually did come out, even though he wasn't Midnight Man. But that Anton Mogart, the guy that was the arms dealer that collected the antiquities.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, he was a thief called Midnight Man who used to steal everything right at midnight, and of course it was the early '80s. What do you expect?
No,
but, but in the comics he he's dumped into a pool or a river, and there's a lot of toxic chemicals, and it like completely deforms his face, and he goes crazy. And then his son takes over, and he becomes like a sidekick to Moon Knight for a while.
Oh,
He
damn.
like tries
Nice.
to like be his sidekick, and then he eventually like starts hating him again. But that whole comic thing. But
That little stick,
yeah,
right?
so
I
he
only
came out, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I giggled a little bit because when you said that he only stole at midnight, who did you think about?
The Midnight Bomber.
Yeah, from the Tick.
That only bombs
The bad bomber only bombs at midnight. And he looked all scruffy and crazy. Right when you said that, my brain just like my comic book brain clicked to the Tick. But no, you know what I think, Gerry? They're probably saving it. I know that there was this talk, right?
I don't know what happened, but I lost you again. I think I'm going to turn off my background. I'm going to see if I can turn off my background.
Okay.
Yeah. Corey, if you're still with us, just keep commenting about Moon Knight.
Yeah, man, we want to hear more what you thought. I know last week you were pretty up on that.
Excuse the closet now, but yeah, so we'll see if that works. If that's a little bit better, because you're cutting it in and out.
Hopefully that didn't have anything to do with it. Again, we were having like weird audio issues earlier, so who knows?
Well, our power went out too over here. So.
Yeah, we had a power outage earlier. Like I was like, we thought it was maybe heat driven. You know what I mean? So we weren't sure. And I just checked our internet connection too, because it looked. StreamYard tells us one thing, and then the actual computer tells us another regarding. But it says we're at full Wi-Fi, so I don't know. I lost my train of thought what we were saying before that
about Harold. Like, okay, now you're saying like, was it good almost? Like they kind of introduced kind of like a Harold before they get deep into like Moon Knight. Maybe they want to see the reception.
Yes,
a Moon Knight will get,
and I think it's going to get. Have you read anything, Gerry? Is it getting a great reception?
It seems like everybody's loving it. People love Oscar Isaac's performance, especially, and I know they really pushed like the Egyptian route. Not only for inclusivity, which is awesome, but just because a lot of people don't have like an Egyptian hero or anything they can look at. So later on, when Layla becomes Scarlet Scarab. This universe's Scarlet Scarab, it kind of was a cool thing to see. So, but it seems like everybody's loving it, which I think is fantastic. I liked Ethan Hawke's performance as well. I thought he was great. He
was great.
He was great too.
But I think you're right. I think they kind of were testing it out. Yeah.
Yeah, which is good because then they'll save this better villain for hopefully a season 2, or depending on how they move with it. Because they've yet to do like an introduction of a character in a series. Well, I mean, we know in Multiverse of Madness that Wanda does come out, so they did do a show and then they moved the character to the show. Although we've had her in movies, but they've yet to do like someone starts in a show and then moves to a movie.
Right.
But they could do that. What I was going to say regarding that was that I know that they've said they haven't talked about a season 2, and that but everyone noticed when they initially said series finale, then they changed it to season finale. It was a big deal, you know what I mean? Which is great. I mean, if Oscar Isaac wants to do more, I mean, let the guy do more. I mean, it's awesome. And I think it's all building to an eventual. What everyone wants is an eventual, like all these new people we're meeting to kind of intermingle in some way.
Right.
Let me see. I thought Corey had some comments here. He said,
right here.
There will be a season 2. Bushman mentioned in the end.
He did mention him. Yeah.
Okay. And he says the end credit and intro of Jack. Yeah, that's very cool. Just a matter of time on season 2. I'll avoid Strange. Was just touching base. Yeah, no problem, man, for sure on that. Amazing. He says, don't forget, we're gonna get Zeus and Norse gods.
We had talked about that, Corey, about how bringing in all the kind of mythology gods, whatever you want to say, to the Marvel universe.
Right, for sure. Now, Gerry, okay, as non Moon Knight fans, you mentioned Layla earlier. By the way, she was wonderful. I believe that actress is Egyptian also.
She is, yeah.
Okay.
May Kalamawi, I think is her name.
Yes, and she was wonderful as Layla. I loved that character too. She was a great binder for the two. Because again, so I started to rewatch today. I didn't get all the way through the series, but I started to watch, and I just from the very beginning, after seeing the entire series, I had much different feelings about Steven. I was like, I did feel he was heroic, and I did feel he was like a good fella. I was like, but I want to get back to Layla, and then I have another point. Don't let me forget about Steven in the museum in episode 1. But my next point was, okay, when she gets her kind of hero moment there, Jerry.
Right.
I felt like I was like, shit, Marvel's gonna catch hell because they're gonna say she was kind of Wonder Woman-y, with the wings and the X bracelets blocking.
Yeah.
I was like, damn
right.
it, the DCers are gonna get on us and tell us a bunch of shit. What did you think, Jerry? Was it accurate? Was it comic book accurate? Did you feel as though it was Wonder Woman-y?
So I did well. So I didn't even actually think about Wonder Woman. I just found it very Egyptian-y. I was like, this feels like period appropriate, region appropriate. Now it's definitely not comic book accurate. So in the comics, the Scarlet Scarab was a foe of the invaders. So he fought like Cap and Namor and Human Torch. But he only did it because he wanted to free Egypt from like imperial rule. So he actually teamed up with the Nazis, and then when the Nazis turned on him, he joined Cap, and and all that, and then fought the Nazis. But even then, he was still very much like like, hey, I just want to free Egypt. I'm fighting for my people, just protecting Egypt. That's all. Yeah. Of course, later on, his son takes over the mantle, and so he becomes the Scarlet Scarab.
That's what they kind of merged. When I Googled it, that's what I'm seeing, the male version.
Right. So, and that's very much like an Egyptian pharaoh almost kind of garb. So it's not, it's very different. But at the same time, I thought it was a great redesign. If you're gonna go female, I mean, you got to cover up. Scarlet Scarab has like a bare chest, basically. Okay. So you got to cover up the girls, and so it makes sense. But I I really thought it was a great redesign. I liked the way she used her wings. It did kind of remind me not of Wonder Woman but of Falcon, actually. The way he would kind of use them as a shield and like block and different things like that. I thought it was very Falcon.
I thought she looked badass. Awesome. Yeah,
I did too. Yeah,
I loved her hair. I thought she was very beautiful. Like obviously the what I know that
excuse me. Sorry.
Good. I know like all properties are kind of moving towards being more inclusive, which I also like as well, especially in this story where it was, like you said, very regional, very Egyptian. Perfect. Right. I was like, she looks great. I just thought immediately, I said, very casual watchers are going to be like, oh, she's trying to be like Wonder Woman. I was like, I don't want to hear it.
I could totally see that. I totally could. Yeah, they kind of created her character. It's like basically Marlene Ilrana, which is like his love interest, and he actually has a daughter with her more recently. So they weren't quite married, but so they kind of combined her with like the Scarlet Scarab and like mashed them together and made her Egyptian, which I think works better, just because of the, like we were talking about the era. It was very much like he was just a famous archaeologist and she was his daughter. She studied like art history, but here she actually like knows some of the archaeology. She can like read the hieroglyphics as well. So I kind of thought that just made it much more fun. That she was much more capable. She could do a whole bunch of cool things, and then she also could handle her own. I mean, they mentioned that she and Mogart had like some sort of encounter in Madripoor. So I mean,
Madripoor.
We've seen Madripoor before, so it's that means she can take care of herself, and she does.
Yeah, we got mentioned in Madripoor and Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I popped for. I told AA, I was like, dude, Madripoor, obviously Wolverine, right? And then now mentioned again. So every time it gets mentioned, I'm like, dude, the Princess Bar, like, I love it. Yeah. My question I wanted to come back with both of you two is episode 1, right? We have Steven there having one of his moments with his boss, but this very attractive young woman comes up to him and is like, hey, are we still on for steak? And I'm thinking to myself, now having seen the series, I was like, wait, who asked her out? I would think it was Mark, because Mark is,
but then the accent would have thrown her off, wouldn't it?
Well, I would have thought about that, but also Mark is married and Mark is in love with Layla. So why would Mark ask another woman out? So I'm like,
maybe it was Jake.
Maybe it was Jake already there, Like I was like, oh damn, it had to have been.
But then, like I said, the accent, she would have been like, "Why are you talking like that?" Then, right?
Yeah, she does say something like he's a joker or something, like, because he makes a joke about something, and she laughs at him like, "Oh, you're a joker." I don't know exactly what she says, but
and I just said
something like so it makes sense. Maybe she thought he was just doing a bit,
Yeah,
and I say that too because like Layla's like, "Why are you talking like that?"
Yeah.
Yeah, she does say that. Yeah.
It's off-putting when someone looks exactly like someone else. So for me, guys, this series really like took off for me when I think it was about episode, was it 4? When you see that you go into like the hospital part and you're like, oh
Yeah.
shit, we're in his mind. Like,
And I wanted to ask you guys about that because I actually love those hospital scenes.
Yes.
I thought it was great.
Yes, that's when the series really was like, I was like, oh my, like it was like, you know, a WTF moment, you know, like what's
Right.
going on here?
Yeah, that's like straight out of Jeff
Doctor.
Lemire's run. It's
Okay.
it was fantastic. Yeah, I loved it.
And how
And he
interesting,
has like
right?
no idea what's real, and he sees like
Yeah, and that was
he's
kind
looking
of
at his
scary.
orderlies, and they have like the Egyptian like god. You know how their gods have the heads of the animals, and you know he's like, what is going on? And he only recognizes like Bertrand Crawley is there, you know, his informant, and like a few like Frenchie's there, but you know it's like all these people that he recognizes, but he's like, what are we doing here? I mean, it was very much like that, and I totally dug it. I was geeking out hard over that.
Yeah, it was. Corey also agrees. It was Jake that asked her out for steak.
Oh, and then he says right here,
it had to be, right?
He says right here, Jerry, he goes, Jake has been there. Remember in like episode 3 where he killed some people, and Steven was like, Mark, was that you? And Mark was like, no.
Yeah,
yeah,
that was with those kids or whatever.
It was
that
the
happened
one, right?
The whole tie cutting thing we talked about earlier.
That's the one. Yeah, that's where he killed him. So we know Jake's been there.
Right.
We don't know how long Jake's been there. So
Jake seems like he's more extreme, right?
He is. Yeah, at least here it seems like he's Mark, the violent one, right?
Okay. And then also too, we have this scene where, and to me, in the when they're in the mindscape in the White Hospital, when they see that other sarcophagus, and they kind of just
that's where Jake
over
has
it.
to be.
Right. And you're thinking like, what's behind that door? They don't really get into it that much. So it was very interesting to me that little scene there. But again, these little moments that are glazed over. You know, I found the whole thing so interesting at that point that, you know, I was talking with my my new boss about it, Val. Shout out to Val, and she watches this stuff with her husband, and she was saying that. You know, we were talking about like, you know, multiple personality disorder. You know, of course, we talked about split. You know what I mean? And,
I think it's called dissociative.
Dissociative, yeah.
D.I.D, dissociative identity disorder. Yeah. And she actually sent me this 30-minute video of this young guy interviewing some people, 3 people that deal with this in real life. And it freaked me out. Like it started to freak me out. Like I was like, this is really wild. You know what I mean? Like
it is,
You know, to me, what a concept for a superhero to be dealing with this. It's like reminds me of like, you know, of course we have like, you know, Daredevil with blindness. That's kind of a very on the nose one. But this is, you know, within the mind. It reminded me more of when you're talking like in Logan, when they decided to give Professor X this like, you know, brain issue. When it's the most powerful mind on the earth.
Tumor,
you know what I mean? Yeah, he has a tumor or something in Logan, I think, right? And you're like, man,
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah. Double A either, because he says
I'm only going to say it one time.
He said it's a bummer.
Same here. I've only seen it the once. Yeah.
Why is that, Jake? You thought it was a bummer too?
It was definitely a bummer.
Yes.
It was fantastic. It was just one of those. It's like, I don't know if I'm in the mood to watch such a downer, you know?
Yeah. That's exactly what Double A said. I watched it twice in theater because I just loved
it. It was good. It was really good. It was just also like, whoa, okay, I need to go watch like some Avengers because they're happy, you know?
Double A says I'm a glutton for punishment, Jerry. We talked about What If, and he's like, man, I told him that I watched the Strange episode, speaking of Strange, the What If episode like 4 times. He's like,
the bleak one.
Yeah, he's like, you watch. He's like, what if he lost his heart instead of his hands? He said, you watched that one 4 times? Like, what's wrong with you?
I know.
I don't know. I guess
I got you. Yeah.
It really pulls it. Those things really pull. Like, I kind of like, you know, what's the old thing? Like, it makes you feel, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm really feeling in that moment. But I digress. We're getting back to being in the White Hospital. I just was like, oh my gosh. Like, now I'm thinking, I was thrown. I was like,
I was too, because I was like,
was it all in his mind?
Yeah.
You know, because he's not dead, you know? Now, Jerry, you obviously knew better, right?
I did, yeah. I was waiting for them to like get into it. Like, okay, when is this coming up? And then I read that, you know, in one of the interviews, he's like, wait till season 4 or episode 4. That's when it like really hits. And I was like, I bet it's going to be the mental institution. And sure enough, it was. Yeah.
That was wild. And it's such an interesting and wild condition to put in a superhero. And Jerry, do you rank Moon Knight in the superhero category? Is he in the Punisher anti-hero category?
It kind of depends on what era he's in.
Oh shit.
So like in when he was first written and all the way up till like his first run until his first or his second death, I guess, he was very much just a regular superhero. Then when he came back in like the 2000s, he was more of like that anti-hero. He became more brutal. He, like his other personalities were taking over. But then he kind of had a change once the new writers came in and his new run started in like 2009, 2010ish. And then he started like not only imagining these personalities, but also like that he was Spider-Man, Captain America, and Wolverine.
Damn.
Wow.
And so his fighting style, whatever, would kind of change depending on who was there. But so it's like all these little things. It kind of really just depends. But then at the same time, like that Ellis run, he kind of goes back to just being a straightforward superhero.
Yeah.
And then in this last bit, the Age of Khonshu in the Avengers, it was like numbers 32 through 36 or 37, something like that. He basically defeats all the Avengers by himself.
Oh damn.
Wow.
Because Khonshu tells him to. He's like, look, Mephisto's planning this big thing. Like he's gathering all these Mephistos from all over the multiverse. Something's happening. They're going to rewrite reality. So Khonshu is like the one after him. And so he takes like the Iron Fist from Iron Fist. He takes Ghost Rider's Spirit of Vengeance. He takes Strange's Eye of Agamotto and like all his mystical powers. And he like gets Thor's hammer because it's Uru is basically like
Moon Rock
essentially.
Yeah, I saw that picture. Did you post that, Jerry? You posted that.
I did post that. Yeah.
And I was like, wow. I mean, I was like, I'm having a geek moment. Yeah, it was like very cool.
He basically takes down like all the Avengers. It's crazy. And then he realizes he becomes the Phoenix. Because he's trying to collect like all these things. Khonshu is just like, I need more power to defeat Mephisto. I need more power. Yeah. He starts getting paranoid. He starts becoming crazy. And so now in the comics, he kind of he hasn't talked to Khonshu in a long time. And so he's kind of just like, Khonshu's high priest. I'm in charge. I don't need him. I don't talk to him. I'm going to protect him. But like for a while there, that was very superhero, but very anti-hero because he was taking down all these Avengers,
Yeah.
So it's like, he's so ambiguous. And I think that's why I really love the character is that he has so much depth and so much like emotional turmoil that it's just, and Oscar Isaac really captured that every single scene, like when he sees those dead bodies in the Duat, he's on that ship with Taweret and he sees those bodies and he's like, they're all the people I've killed, and you can see like he has regret. He doesn't like it. He's like, you tried taking a life. But at the same time, it's like, his alter, Stephen Grant, is like, well, he can't believe it. But, oh, man, it's just so masterfully done that
it was really, really brilliant. I thought I loved even how it seemed like he hated Stephen the whole time. And then he would, even though he had come into balance, he still felt like, no, this isn't right. And then, man, the story I thought with Layla and her dad and his involvement, Mark's involvement was masterful.
Right.
And then when they get into that backstory, of course, that is really, truly what won me over with Stephen. Because I was like, I was just like, I was pretty choked up. Y'all know me. Yeah. I'm a crier. So I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the most. And when he's trying to protect him and he doesn't want to show him that stuff. And then let me tell you guys, when I started my rewatch, I don't know how you feel, Jerry, but when he's on the call, it's like, hey mom, blah blah, I'll catch you next time. I was just like, dude, it makes my stomach hurt right now. That is such a dark story. Like it's like
so that's actually not in the comics. Sorry to interrupt you.
No.
But that whole backstory is actually not in the comics. Like his brother lives. His brother's the one that's super jealous of him. His mom's like, you were always jealous of your. But it's actually the other way around. His brother Randall is the one that's very jealous. So much so that he goes out of his way to like same thing, join like CIA and Black Ops and all that, and become a mercenary himself. Okay. And later on, he kind of adopts the Shadow Knight persona, and he's had to kill his brother like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times, I think, but as one does, I guess. But
you guys have brothers. I'm sure you probably thought about it once or twice.
So it's actually while it's not as emotionally draining as like his mom hating him and beating him,
Ooh,
at the same
Yeah.
time, it's still quite just dysfunctional because his brother wants to kill him because he wants to basically take his place. So it's
Yeah.
like, dang, this guy cannot catch a break.
Yeah, I mean that was rough. And it's interesting for you to hear you say, Jerry, what you thought, being that it was a different backstory. But I know mine and Double A's text that when he was like,
That
"Hey,
was so
just caught
good.
up on Moon
Yeah.
Knight." I said, "Yeah, what'd you think?" He goes, "Man, that mom, what a bitch." I was like, "Yeah, I mean, like
Basically, I mean,
that's
yeah.
so awful. It's so awful." A couple of comments in more from Corey here. Corey says, my fiance has some psych issues and definitely saw some characteristics I'm familiar with.
Okay.
He also says, in the show, I would put him in. Sorry, double A. In the show, I would put him in like a manipulation, the hero or villain, kind of like Eddie and Venom. Oh, okay, I get it. Like he's kind of saying like, there's like, I guess like you've got your straightforward type hero with like Steven, but then you've got Mark who will
Kind of
kill,
like,
you know.
yeah.
Right,
Jerry,
right.
okay, yeah. So it's like it's kind of hard to me when the killing aspect is in play. It's kind of hard to be a straight hero. You're more like an
Right.
anti-hero because you will kill, So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think of Wolverine like that, but I guess he is
He
because
is,
he does kill. You know what I mean? So
He's the best at
not
what he
not a
does.
typically heroic. Not a typically heroic attribute supposedly. Sorry, Jerry. We were trying to clean up. I guess through our YouTube that's also streaming live. We're getting a lot of bot kick-ins here. So, but what else? Tell me more about.
Well, the afterlife part was cool.
Yeah.
The whole Egyptian
Oh man, that was
afterlife,
so cool.
That was great.
And I like the Black Panther Easter egg when she
Yes,
talks about
yes.
the
Okay.
ancestral plane.
Hold on, back up. I totally missed that. Did I miss that?
Yeah, go ahead, Jerry. No?
So yeah. So when she's talking about, you can move on to the field of reeds, and then he's like, "Is this the afterlife?" Or we didn't. She's like, "Well, there's a bunch of different afterlives." And then she says, the ancestral plane is like particularly beautiful, or something like that.
Mhm.
So,
Damn, that's awesome. I was just enthralled by the hippo, like totally from the beginning. I was like, "What the?" Her little ears would move, and
That to me too. That threw me off. I was like, "What the fuck?"
which funnily enough, she's like one of the few Egyptian deities to not appear in the comics.
Wow.
So again, I thought that was really cool that they brought her in and kind of tied Layla as her avatar. I was like, that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was very cool. I started the show, Jerry, with my nephew actually, and he's 8. I didn't know that it was going to be like what it was, and he was kind of barely hanging in there anyway. He was doing as kids do when it's like a lot of talking and like what's going on.
Right.
And he pretty much told me at one point, and I said, "Hey, well, what did you think?" And he said he dumped me at about episode 4 or 5. Yeah, I think 4. 4 was his last one. With the last one where the hippo, when she appears, he dumped me after that. He was like, "I'm done with this," because he only really liked when Moon Knight came out. So I really wasn't afraid about exposing him to anything because he didn't really. He really wasn't paying attention. He's like, "I like the fighting and I like when Moon Knight comes out," which wasn't a lot up to that point. So I was like, okay. And so he asked me today, he's like, "Hey, did you finish it up?" And I said, "Yeah, well, because I'm doing it tonight on the show." And he said, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "Was it cool?" And I said, "Yeah, it was cool or whatever." I think he really appreciated how the character looked and how he fought, but the rest of it was kind of lost on him, as it would be. It was very mature,
Yes,
it
was a very serious issue.
Yeah, with a very serious issue. But I mean, he dug the hippo too. He was like, "I like that hippo. That hippo was cool," I said, "Yeah, it was cool," So, but yeah, that was but that whole aspect too about being in balance. Even Harold with the scales, right? Being able to tell, are you to judge you like that? It was. I
was like, man, Minority Report.
Yeah, it was
extreme.
Yeah, exactly.
It was intense. Yeah. I did read some negatives. Go ahead, Jerry.
It kind of goes back to that Winter Soldier. Remember when Shield they're building those helicarriers, those special ones that can detect threats.
Yes.
Of course, we find out it's Hydra, but like and Steve and Nick Fury are talking. He's like, "This is wrong. This is fear." It's kind of the exact same thing. It's like you're judging them before they make the. What if they change their mind? What if they don't go through with it?
Right.
So it's it really brings it back to that, and I thought that was really cool. And I also liked how all these different TV series are like very they deal with like a specific issue, So like WandaVision was about grief, and then there was a lot of hurt and gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Not I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but like Hawkeye deals with like regret, and having to deal with your past, and so this one was all about like mental illness, and I mean I like how they're taking on these different things, and it makes it so much more interesting, especially to see them later on to cross over with someone else, and now know that they have all this baggage. It's like wow.
Even like with Falcon and Winter Soldier, one of the stories that they didn't kind of like hone in on more that I would have liked to was, where Bucky is there with the guy that when he was the Winter Soldier, he killed the son or whatever, he's sitting with the old guy at the bar, and it was like, damn, that was a very like, here's another guy that, like we just said, killing kind of puts you in the anti-hero category. It's like, well, Bucky's got a lot of red in his ledger too, just like Hawkeye, just like Black Widow. Yet, we applaud them as Avengers, but they've got a lot of guilt. They've got a lot of baggage. Yes, now I'm a hero, but at one time I murdered people.
Well, remember too, like Wanda's getting like a lot of backlash too because she put the whole town. In a trance kind of,
I mean, they were essentially her slaves, at that time.
People are like, how come she's not getting any kind of like, paid, retribution?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to be viewed as a hero and as an Avenger when you've done something like that. But again, I do like when it shows them as being human and flawed, and they made mistakes or whatever,
That's why I like that scene from Civil War where Ross tells him, like, do you know where Thor and Banner are right now? He's like, I would have a lot to answer for if I lost 35, nukes. Nukes,
shout out to Mr. Hurt, rest in peace. You know what I mean?
Rest in peace. Yeah.
Oh man.
But that's really kind of a pretty good thing, right? Because you really don't have that a whole lot in DC.
No,
not to knock DC because we love DC, but you really don't have these kind of issues,
right?
That we're seeing here with the Marvel shows.
And the only reason I didn't mind that Falcon and Winter Soldier switch gears was because it does go a little bit into the race things or whatever, and those issues are there. So you're like, oh, okay, you kind of putting this Bucky thing on the side to focus on this. I mean, but I would be on board for a Winter Soldier, if I have to get six parts, about how he confronts those issues. You know what I mean? Because I think there's a story to be told there.
And there's something too, because he's going through counseling in those episodes. About all that.
Right.
Oh,
exactly. So, I mean, definitely that's a great point, Gerry, about how it is, focusing on more things than just
they're more introspective, and I think that's why I really like it, because you can do so much more like character building. So like we really are into these characters now. I mean, just now with Steven and Mark together, they're like he's kind of come to peace with being these two people that were separate that are now essentially like interacting all the time. So now to throw in Jake, I mean, it's
I know.
It's gonna be crazy.
I feel for the splintered mind of I don't know, Mark, Steven, but I guess it is Mark primarily, but Steven is the
Mark is the he's the first. He's the original. But it's funny because at different points, different personalities have been like the dominant.
Right.
So the child that he had with Marlene was actually Jake's child, technically.
Oh wow!
And so Mark didn't even know about him. I mean, it was it was like what, like straight out of soap opera or something. But
totally. Corey's got some comments coming in here. He says these TV shows are going to be backstories, so yeah, they're going to be a little show.
I think
a little slow. Go ahead, Double A.
I think I don't have my glasses on. He put show, but I think he meant slow. I think the movies are going to be fast, like Strange.
Yeah.
I feel you have to watch shows from here on to know what led to the movie, or you're not going to know the backstory. And that's what I tell my daughter about Doctor Strange. I'm like, it's a good thing you saw What If with me, because it looks like they borrow from the trailers I've seen. They borrow a lot from What If.
Yeah.
And then he said, character being, as you say, is going to be Disney Plus series setup.
Which is kind of a smart business move, because it's like, hey, buy into our streaming service. We're going to give you good content, and it's going to lead into these movies that you're going to love. Do I think this would have worked with the the way they did it originally? They gave us 3 Iron Men, 3 Thors, 3 Caps.
No,
that it wouldn't have worked.
I don't think it would have, honestly.
Yeah, but I think it could work for this, and you're trying to build something different. We talked about it, me, you, and Anthony, right, Jerry? That we're like, nothing is going to be what like the build up to Infinity War and Endgame was.
Right.
So they're trying to do something different. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel. They're saying, okay, we're going to try this now. Give you these shows and then give you these.
And I think it's
movies.
better because I wanted to see Eternals real bad. Mm-hmm. But I think they tried stuffing too much of Eternals into that movie that I don't think it worked out very well at all.
It would have been a great show.
You know what? If you had given it a 6-part series to kind of explain their origins and then got into the movie, yeah, maybe it would have been better.
Or even 8.
I think so too. Yeah, I'm the same way. I think so too. I think as a movie, it failed utterly. I mean, it didn't help. They like completely changed some of the characters around. It's like, come on.
Like Icarus. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that got me so mad.
That pissed me off too. I thought he was gonna be the big strong dude, for the next phase.
Yeah, exactly. He should be, but yeah. So that got me so mad. But I think you're right. I think they needed more mythology building. Like the Eternals are ones where like they have like a deep mythology that you kind of have to really get into, and if you don't, you're lost. So
that probably would have worked so much better probably as a show than a movie.
I mean, just look at what I said, right, regarding this, right? It's like I felt one way about Stephen early on, right? That identity, which when we all three talked He-Man, I know that there were friends of ours that were watching that were early on like, oh man, Tila this, Tila that. I'm like, dude, you're not done yet. Like we were already done. And I'm like, you're barely watching it. You're not done yet. Like, give it a chance. Like, let it finish. Which again, this is me and Double A talking here in our like I said, our weekly conversations as we're watching the show. And I'm like, right now I don't like him. And look at me now rewatching. I'm like, I feel much differently watching him in those early episodes than I did initially watching them. And that's kind of part of it because you're building the character. If you don't, build them, how am I going to care about you or what happens to you? It's like, I in Eternals, for me, it felt flat.
It did. It really did.
It was like of that year, the lowest Marvel thing to me. And then like, for no particular reason, like Shang-Chi was probably like the next lowest, but I guess it just because I'm not that familiar with that character, so it didn't really hit, it was a good movie.
But that was completely different too, because Mandarins has nothing to do with Shang-Chi.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
it was it's good retcon.
Yeah, and those two movies are again, they come from two sets of characters. You fellas, way more familiar with me than me. So I'm going in as a very casual watcher. And I was like, this is a fine movie, but I'm not going to rush out and buy a copy. Like Eternals and Shang-Chi were cool, but I don't need to own it. And I don't really plan to rewatch it, even though I can on Disney. I'm like, they're okay.
Right.
If someone hadn't seen it and wanted to watch it with me, like, oh, I've never seen that. I'd be like, okay, I'll sit and watch with you. If my nephew wanted to watch either one of those, I'd happily watch them with him. But I mean, otherwise I have no real reason to revisit it.
But again, they probably would have just been better if they were just a show.
Yeah.
Eternals probably would have been so much better.
Especially with all those characters. I was like, damn, there's so many characters.
Yeah, that would have been great.
So let's see. Jason says, what's up, bros? What's up, Jason? I appreciate you being here, brother.
And then Corey says, what if and WandaVision are a perfect example? If you didn't watch those shows, then there's parts of Strange that you're not going to understand. Which, again, I told my daughter, I'm glad you saw What If. From the trailer that I saw, I was like, okay, that's from a lot from What If.
Yeah.
And then he says, the Eternals did their part. Maybe it should have been a TV series. But yeah, it opened up the Black Knight future and Star Fox. And, of course, a hint of Blade. So, it just would have worked better as a movie. I mean, as a TV show. The movie
I think so, too. Yeah.
It was just too much. And people are probably like, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah. See, this did a good job. Like, we didn't know Moon Knight, but we got to know Moon Knight. Like, I now care about even Stephen Grant.
And now that they got kind of this over with,
later skaters.
Now that they got this over with, now if they did a movie, I'd be like, okay, cool. I'm gonna rush out and see the movie now,
right?
Because now I know all the backstory now.
Yeah,
I know all that stuff. So I was like, okay, cool.
Jerry, did you feel like you got enough Moon Knight, or did you need more Moon Knight? Like in the suit, like Moon Knight fighting?
Yeah, as far as like the actual like superhero of it all, I felt like there could have been more. And that's where I think like an extra episode or two
Yes.
would have really benefited it. I think it felt very rushed at the end, like the last episode especially. And then for it being so short, I think like it could have breathed a lot better. Like if they had just
It
added
needed
a
to
little bit
open up
more.
a little bit more.
I thought it was going to be an hour.
But at
I
the
was surprised.
Yeah, but at the same time, I get it. Like if someone really isn't like a skilled fighter and there's not enough time to train him, I think they actually did it very brilliantly, where he just kind of would black out and then all of a sudden people were,
Yeah.
were knocked down. I mean, so that was done very well. But I would have liked to have seen more of like actual Moon Knight, in it.
Agree. Even if you put someone else in, like you said, the practical suit, you know what I mean, to do it.
Right.
I mean, that would have been great. Again, I want to say a rest in peace and shout out. I loved it, and I think it was episode 2 or 3. Gaspard Ulliel passed away. Famously played the young Hannibal in Hannibal Rising. I thought he was fantastic in this. He was my dream casting for Gambit. My sister's Gambit.
He would have been awesome.
He would have been great. Yeah. What a great actor, and such a young life cut short, skiing accident. But I thought it was really cool in the show. I was kind of waiting for that appearance, and that fight sequence was dope. I was like, damn, this is badass. I knew a little bit more of this. Right in 2 or 3 more fight sequences where Moon Knight's just beating the shit out of people, because they showed us that Oscar Isaac training sequences. Remember that video came out? And we were like, oh man, Oscar Isaac's looking good, man. He's like tossing guys around.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
but
the training.
But again, I felt like I was like, I need a little bit more of that.
I do too. And I'm wondering how much of it was filmed and then like just maybe unused. You know, they just had to cut stuff. Maybe it didn't look right. Maybe something, lighting. I don't know. But it did feel like, like there was probably more that just didn't work.
And
I do remember that training thing.
That was like the big thing where we kind of got geeked. We were like, oh shit, I'm looking forward to this, because he's looking like, grizzled, and he's kicking some ass, you know.
And then like part of the reason he wears white is because he wants his enemies to see him coming. So like famously Taskmaster, Taskmaster can copy any fighting style, but he never copies Moon Knight, because Moon Knight would rather take the punch as long as he can actually get like a better hit in. So Taskmaster never copies him. So it's one of those where like I would have liked to seen this crazy just like brawler fighting style,
Dude, I did not know that, Gerry, and that story right there sounds so great. And
cool.
I thought that character was a little bit underused in the Black Widow. I'm like, can we get Taskmaster and Moon Knight fighting? I want to see that now, and I want that to come up, that aspect to come up. That this is why he doesn't do that, or she. Now we know it was a she.
That's right. That's right. It's completely different, and it's a whole different character.
But she Widow was still a badass, and I still would like. The costume looked great. They made it look. They moderned it up, and it looked good.
Yeah.
So
I would have liked to have seen that fight. But yeah, I mean, same thing. It would have been cool to see him go up against, if Mogart had donned his Midnight Man outfit, and then they like fought each other. Then that would have been cool. Even if it was just like a black costume, I would have dug it.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen more fighting, I think.
Definitely. For us that kind of feed on the superhero thing, it's like, okay. They did such a great job with the story that I got into it. And again, especially when we went into the hospital, that I was okay with it, because I'm like, oh, I'm invested in this. But again, some of the episodes I was watching with an 8-year-old, and he was just like not into it because it was boring to him. And I was like, again, I don't think he was the target audience by far.
No,
not in this one. But again, they're going to make Moon Knight action figures, and I'm sure they want to sell them. So, what are you going to do? But I do wonder why they went more CGI on the costume than they.
I don't know.
Could have made it practical.
Exactly. It looked like it could have been practical. Just do it. And I think they used too much money on that. That they could have sharpened up. Like the hyenas were kind of a little wonky to me.
Yeah.
How'd
you feel about Khonshu? How he looked? I thought he looked pretty cool.
I thought he looked pretty good overall.
They kept him in the shadows a lot, and like very
tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a few movements here and there where I was like, that doesn't quite look right. But overall, I thought they did a great job. That skull is exactly like the comics. So, I mean, I was super jazzed about that. His fight with Amit, I thought was great as well. Where he's got her, with his
that was awesome.
by the neck. I was like, yeah. So I thought they did pretty great there.
No, I love
And
that.
I thought it was actually kind of cool seeing the other avatars because that's not something we normally see in the comics. That's like maybe a one-off here and there. So I thought that was kind of cool where all the avatars gathered and did their thing. So that was pretty neat too.
Yeah, I looked up Khonshu because I wanted to see some of the comic book art, and I got to see. I'm pretty sure it was Finch because it's like this great scene of him like sitting down, and you just see the big beak like at the side. I was like, oh, that looks like Finch art. It was like a badass image. I was like, okay.
How do you feel about his portrayal? Because at the end, it's kind of like, okay, I set you free. Not knowing that he has Mark still, but he has Jake. And he's like. You kind of hit that from them or whatever. You know what I mean?
Khonshu's kind of a dick a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm like,
it's a very Khonshu kind of thing to do. So I thought it was perfect. He really, because he kind of is.
Yeah,
he really is. Let's see, I don't remember the author, but the one that took over right after Ellis, Mark is working with a psychiatrist, and she kind of sedates him and psychoanalyzes him, whatever. And so Khonshu actually leaves Mark and goes to her for a bit. But Mark doesn't care. He's like, no, I'm Moon Knight. And so he goes and, beats her. And then, Khonshu comes back and all sorts of things. But, he is kind of a jerk. So to me, it made a lot of sense. If it fit perfectly, it was like,
that sucks.
Like these guys get it. These writers, they totally get it.
Yeah, you were talking, Jerry, earlier with us about him and his situation with Mephisto, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, he's like, I need more power, and I'm like, of the Khonshu that I know from this series, I'm like, no, don't give that guy more power. He's gonna be the flip. He's gonna end up being the bad guy. I was like, oh no, Moon Knight was in for something there.
Exactly. Yeah. So
a couple of comments come in from the audience here. Go ahead, Dominic. Can you?
Corey says that we need more, but I would bet big money that season 2 is already in the works.
Totally agree.
And then he goes, sorry.
I think so too. Yeah.
And he goes, side note, have y'all seen the trailer for Avatar 2?
I didn't even know that was played.
Yeah, that was
played before.
Oh, okay. So what do you guys think?
Go ahead, Jerry.
I liked Avatar, but I only saw it the once. Like once was enough for me. So I'll probably see part 2, but I'll probably just see it once. It looked good. The CG actually, I mean, it improved, but the first one was so great. I don't know like how much it improved because I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just not quite really my thing. Which is strange because I love sci-fi, and this should be right up my alley. It's just not quite.
James Cameron, right? Like.
Exactly. It's like all the pieces are perfect, but it didn't quite hit for me. So I'll see it, but probably, I mean, it was okay. That's what I think.
I'll say this. Saw the first one just once, just like you, Jerry. Never bought a copy. Felt like once was enough. Yeah. Me and you have talked about it. Don't get what all the hype was about. Will I watch this one? Yes, probably. Will I care if it gets spoiled? No, I won't. Will I go to the theater? Maybe if there's nothing else showing and I have bored.
I'm not gonna watch it at all.
It won't be first weekend. It will just be like down the line. Like, you know what? Like, when the trailer played, I think my girlfriend looked at me and was kind of like, "Oh, what do you think?" And I was kind of like, "If you want." I had to go see Encanto in theater, so if I have to go see that, that'll be what happens.
I got to.
Yeah, I have no plans or intentions to see it. I don't think it's going to be worth the wait. I don't think it's going to be worth the hype. Avatar to me is, I don't know. Again, like you said, Jerry, I don't get it why it falls flat. It has all the elements, but I don't. There's nothing there. It's just, it makes me feel empty inside. So I don't like that feeling. So yeah, Corey, what did you think? I'd like to hear what you thought about that trailer. What else does he say here?
He just says what's going on this weekend.
Jason says what's going on this weekend. I think you posted, right? You already posted, I think.
And then Amy in the house. What's up?
Hey, what's up, sis? Appreciate you being here.
Corey goes, I loved it, but I'm a big fan of Underdog and Alien First hating. I'm a big fan of Underdog and Alien First hating, but then falling in love and saving the day.
Oh, got you. Like the character, and then very Star-Lord and Gamora is there.
Yeah.
Hey sis, make a little room and love Jerry too. You can love Jerry too. There's 3 of us here, and they say hi, Jerry. So there it is, right there.
Hey, what's happening?
Yeah. man, but Moon Knight, damn. I liked it a lot. I mean, I dig it. I'll rewatch it. Just me rewatching the little bit I got to rewatch today and like feeling differently about Steven. I was like, I felt like an asshole for being shitty to him early on.
You're being a mom.
I was being the mom. I was the bitch mom is what I was. It's not cool. I don't want to be there. He's an awful person.
And then later on, I love how when they're in the they're in the duat. And he's like, well, he's like, you've got this, Mark. He's like, wait, if you've got this, that means I've got this too. And then like after that point, like when he dons the Mr. Knight outfit, he's like awesome at it too. It's like, yeah, this guy, he was right.
And he breaks out like his own like eskrima sticks almost, right?
Yeah, the truncheons, yeah.
Is that his weapon of choice there, Jerry?
He uses that in the in that Mr. Knight outfit especially.
Okay, I always think about like,
that. It's mostly those crescent moon shaped darts. Yeah.
I love how he pulled it out of the chest. Crescent.
I did too.
Yeah, anytime I see two sticks, I think of either Nightwing with the eskrima sticks, or I think about Daredevil's Billy Clubs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I thought you were going to say Kick-Ass.
Oh, fuck. Forgot about Kick-Ass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's got Double A just watched. He just got his first dose of Kick-Ass, Jerry. I don't know where you stand on that character.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's a fun movie. I mean, it's fun.
I don't know if this is still Amy, but she says, I want to talk about Christmas with Jerry. I love Christmas. Who is it? Who
right. I'm right there with you. I love it too.
Name yourself. I know when you get on a podcast with Jerry and you don't talk Christmas, it's almost kind of weird.
So, where is this right now for the TV shows for you guys? The Moon Knight, compared to the other ones?
Oof.
Someone asked me this the other day, and I was hard to find my answers.
It's weird because I think it depends on like the day,
Yeah, yeah. Because like I tell people, like I like WandaVision a lot, but the early episodes, I mean, like I could do without them. I was trying to convince somebody to get into it, but I know them from talking to them, and I was like, they're not gonna like the first two.
See, I was
kind of like it.
I was like the opposite. I love the first episode of Wanda because it's her breaking down. Like I still like my first. That's still my favorite.
You're number one, right?
Yeah.
But I still settled on it being number one.
Yeah.
And then I thought about Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I was like, some people might find it kind of slow at the beginning.
That one's my least favorite so far.
I think that was my least favorite too.
Yeah.
So then y'all put Loki next.
For me, I put Loki just because
I actually
Kang, and that's what got me for the Loki because
that's at the very end, though.
Yeah,
yeah, I get it. A big moment will do that for you. Yeah. What were you gonna say, Jerry?
See, I actually like Loki better than WandaVision. Loki was just weird, and I was interesting, and so I think for me, it's actually better.
That
WandaVision had that grief and that heart. I mean, it was like, but Loki has that growth, and it's just like, man, this guy. And I don't know. It's just geeking out over all the alternate Lokis. I think.
Yeah.
Just,
plus, Tom Hiddleston he chews it up, man. He's really good.
Yeah.
Owen Wilson.
But I agree that Falcon and Winter Soldier, even though I did really like it, I think that's my least favorite. Yeah.
Okay. Where do you guys put What If in there? You stuff What If in there somewhere?
Do you?
I don't know. Yeah, I do.
I mean, I guess technically, right?
Because there's a lot of it I love.
See, right now, Moon Knight would be number 3. And then I would put Hawkeye.
And then Hawkeye.
Well, I actually watched Hawkeye the most. I watched it like 3 times.
I like it.
I like Hawkeye. I really like Hawkeye.
They got the little shit out of all of them, right? It was Hawkeye, right?
Yeah, but it's
kind of got
more. It's fucking fantastic.
I
love Jeremy Renner.
I loved it. Yeah.
Jerry was on.
I did too.
Jerry was on the Tuesday podcast episode of Hawkeye, and it was a great episode. I loved it.
We did one too. That's how much we liked it.
It was super great. I was like, I thought it was. I loved it. But I love Jerry Renner, and I thought the Hawkeye character was great. Jerry, I think you agreed 100% on Hawkeye.
Yeah. I love Hawkeye. He's always. I mean, not always. He was never like one of my favorite characters until Matt Fraction's run, and then it was like, this guy is awesome. I love Hawkeye. And so like when you go back and like you start reading some of the Avengers stuff, and you're just like, man, it just adds a whole new perspective to it, So
definitely.
Yeah.
Amy says, I love the background guys. She says, yes, it's me. That's who she said she wanted to talk Christmas with you, Jerry. Then let's see. Corey says, I would put Moon Knight pretty high, but also
this is a new category of Marvel. dark, grotesque. It's hard to compare Moon Knight to anything else except Strange. I mean, all of them kind of have like a different, like you said, Jerry, Loki was kind of everywhere. It was like outside of time. Where they had no power whatsoever.
The opening of Loki, the creepy Loki theme, is so good. Right? It's like the Unsolved Mysteries theme, where I'm like, man, I'm about to be weirded out right now. Like, so shit's gonna happen. I'm like so worried about Loki. You know what I mean?
I don't know who this is, but it says Moon Knight and Oscar Isaac deserved better.
Oh,
I don't know what that means.
Is that CJ again?
I don't know.
Deserved better.
So, yeah, I mean, it sounds like a Moon Knight family think that Moon Knight deserved better. So I don't know.
I thought it was
name yourself
Facebook
great.
user.
Again, I think it was just like a really good introduction for people like me and you, right? Seeing that we're kind of like, okay, I don't know anything about Moon Knight, but this kind of helped.
Yeah, to me, as an outsider, I was great with it.
I really liked how they started with Stephen Grant. So, it's like the whole time you think this guy is the guy, and then you find out he's not. He was created. So I thought that was kind of a cool little, I mean, of course you see it coming, but I thought that was kind of like a cool little switcheroo, essentially, It's no, this isn't our main character. He's actually, actually someone that wasn't there to begin with. But
and for me, Jerry, let me tell you, for me, again, not knowing, I would have felt like that. I felt like that the first time through. I was like, why did they start with this guy? I want to see the other guy, the ass-kicking guy.
Right.
Now, having seen it all and kind of started a rewatch, I'm like, it's so much better this way. It's so much better to make you feel how I felt, where you get the switcheroo and you feel like, oh, I feel differently now, So great way that they approached it and did it. I got nothing else. I went through everything I had to go through with Jerry. Double A, you have anything else?
I'm good too. I like the show a lot. I like Ethan Hawke. I like Oscar Isaac, the lady who played Laura. I don't know her name.
Wonderful.
She was great too.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I became a big Moon Knight fan because of this show.
Yeah,
so.
Me too. I bought his outfit on Fortnite.
With Jerry saying, the Warren Ellis stuff, I'm kind of interested in getting some paperbacks now.
I'm very curious about that Mephisto story.
I too.
I like the idea of Khonshu going after
that. Yeah, because that's weird. Because no one really goes up to Mephisto just like that. I mean, you're talking about.
I think the actual arc starts in like number 32 of Avengers. If you go back like 2 or 3 issues before, Tony Stark's like trapped back in time. It kind of deals with like the Avengers. The 1 million BC Avengers.
Oh, damn.
And hold on, sorry. I had to plug in my computer. It kind of goes back to the Avengers 1 million BC. And so Stark is kind of there. And that's where this whole Mephisto thing really kind of starts to build. Of course, we also, the Doom Above All kind of gets a cameo. The Sorcerer Supreme Doom.
I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, Dr. Doom is like another character that's just amazing, and one day I hope we see him on screen like the way he deserves to be. But
big time.
But yeah, so I would start with like Avengers number 30, I think, and then go from there.
Great stuff, Jer. And Jer, we just got a question from Corey asking what your YouTube handle is. I do not think that's the one place you're not, Jerry.
So I actually started a YouTube thing, but I don't have anything on there. So if you want to, most of my stuff is actually about Christmas, but if you're interested in some of the comic book episodes that we've done, and actually I'm hoping to have these two fine gentlemen up here and talk Fantastic Four in 80s Christmas with me.
That's right.
Then yeah, it would be at totallyradchristmas.com or anything at Totally Rad Christmas.
So Corey, if you're seeing this right here, it's right here. CM's got it right on the bottom.
Yeah, and I'm sure that if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions that you want to discuss,
and you're in the group too, Corey. Jerry's in the group. You're in the group.
Yeah,
no, that's true. Yeah,
you guys are in the Friday Night Faithful. Double A was just saying about another comic book group that we both were invited to. It had a small membership and not a lot was going on. And he was posting some really great stuff. And I was like, dang, Double A, throw that in our group. Jerry, I'm sure was
Anthony. And I was just trying because, I mean, the whole thing was called, well, it's just all supposed to be about comic books.
Yeah, let's talk about comics.
But nobody was ever posting anything about, Wednesday pickups or anything. And I was like, okay.
Oh, I got to, yeah.
I think it should have been, let's not talk about comics because nobody was talking about it. And I was like, Double A, you're wasting good posts in that group. Post that in our group.
I was trying like my damnedest. I was like, post stuff. And
you know how we do, Jerry. We all try to support each other's groups with stuff, but like I try to keep it relevant to your mall and arcade and keep it 80s and
right.
Christmas, but 80s. I can't always do Christmas and 80s. 80s I can do though.
It's
so
hard.
It's always fun.
It's hard. That's why I do one or the other. Yeah.
Oh, which by the way, Roxanne just sent me this funny picture today. I've got to go post it in the mall later because she was saying that. I don't know why she has trouble posting stuff, but Corey, definitely hit up Jerry through our group. Dude, just post a question, man, and say like, "Hey, Jerry, what do you think about this?" And we can all just.
It usually always happens.
Yeah, I was having so much fun earlier, Jerry, reading you and Anthony go back and forth that I didn't even like comment. I was like, I'm liking this, which is exactly what Double A was looking for with his comment.
He doesn't know how bad he's gonna lose, but
yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't. And I'm this one.
I'm just kidding.
This is not the Batman,
it's
Anthony. But so no YouTube handle specific.
I wish I could have been streaming for that one. I'm sorry I missed out, unfortunately. But family things happen.
Family first. We're all there too, brother. So we know for sure. Jerry, I've got it up on the screen right now, man. Plug that fantastic show you do.
Yeah, so it's all things Christmas in the 80s, whether it's toys, movies, TV, music, fashion, even fads, foods I've done. It really doesn't matter as long as it was even kind of relative to Christmas in the 80s. Like I'm going to do a Voltron episode, and it's just because I got a Voltron for Christmas. There's absolutely nothing else Voltron Christmassy related, but who cares? I got one for Christmas, so it counts. So there's a lot of just 80s stuff. I just, I love that feeling you get when you'd run to your tree and just that awe and wonder and magic of it all. And so I just try to, if I can, kind of recapture and rekindle some of that in folks. And so, and of course, the 80s had the best cartoons. So I definitely, I was watching G.I. Joe earlier, but yeah, it was where Quick Kick meets that girlfriend and she goes to Cobra Island. Anyway, it was fun, but yeah, so just totallyradchristmas.com. Although I think I don't have the last episode posted up yet. But say anywhere you get podcasts, it's Totally Rad Christmas. And of course, I'm at Twitter at Rad Christmas and Facebook, Instagram at Totally Rad Christmas. And then I also have a Facebook group, the Totally Rad Christmas Mall and Arcade, which you can go and post whatever you want and ask dumb questions and anything you want. So,
well, check it out. Jerry Corey just coming. He goes, "I love Christmas, but more traditional Christmas, not the product it's become." Well, you're gonna like Jerry's Christmas.
You're gonna like a lot of these places. Not only that Jerry's mall and arcade and his podcast, but the places where Jerry appears on as well, like Tis the Podcast, because I'm sure that is a heated debate in the Christmas community. Am I correct, Jerry?
It's brought up every once in a while, yeah.
But it's a great podcast, a fun podcast, and Jerry's very active and very responsive, which is
great.
That makes him so great.
When you have a group, that's kind of what you're hoping for.
Sometimes Jerry is so happy keeping our group afloat.
Yeah.
And these guys, they've been on the show a few times, and it's been real fun. Thundercats, Robotech. Like I said, I'm hoping to get them on to talk some comic books because I think that'd be so much fun. And yeah, I'll see what else I can find. It'll be fun to talk with these guys.
And we would be remiss if we did not mention the Super Bowl of Christmas podcast award shows, the Raddies, hosted by Mr. Gerry D and the elves of Tis the Podcast, which we were nominated in several categories this second annual Raddies that just passed. And we also won in one of the categories we were nominated for, and I was also nominated in a few others, so walked away with 4 big Raddies.
Yeah, just another Friday night.
Just another Friday night, maybe. There to Joe from Now Watch This is only 3 wins. So, yeah, he had some very firm words in their last episode regarding the situation regarding the Raddies. However, the trophy case is too full for me to even listen to such things.
Well, it just means they need to be on more episodes. They'll be nominated more.
We here at Just Another Friday Night, we're not going to lower ourselves to degrading another show. That would be not our style. But Lucky, we do love Lucky, great co-hosts there.
Both guys.
They're great guys. They really are.
Yeah, wonderful, both of them. All in good fun. All in good times.
Just like we always say, Joe was our first organic fan.
Joe was our first organic fan, and he often said we are
Nice.
Although he was being a rebellious teen in his last episode, we are his pod father because his pod was born out of our pod. And Gerry is his first pod appearance.
That's right. That's right.
So the little circle here continues, the circle of life.
Yeah, he messaged me a couple of times, and I was like, "Hey, you want to talk about this?" He was like, "Yeah." So
he was itching to talk, Gerry, itching to talk. Let me tell you. And Steve says, "I'm on your side, guys." We appreciate it, Steve, always, man. Gerry, anything else before we get out of here? Let you go free to your family. They're probably like, "You normally do an hour. What are you doing?"
No, I mean, there's been a couple of episodes that have gone long, but yeah, it's you can find me anywhere. Like I said, you can come visit the mall and arcade at on Facebook and just post about anything 80s or anything Christmas, and we'll have fun just reminiscing. I just posted something about Ecto Cooler and Tato skins. So I mean,
gosh, the memories,
bonkers back, I got a couple of cool episodes coming out. So Sonic the Hedgehog, like I mentioned, I got a true crime episode coming out about a serial killer
I can't wait for that.
Killed around Christmas time. So that'll be in a few weeks. And
dark, Jared, dark.
The Hardy Boys. Well, I like I said, I cover everything Christmas. So most of it is awesome. Some of it is not as awesome, but hopefully we'll see what we can get through. But yeah,
great
a lot of fun stuff coming up.
Great stuff, Gerry. And if you guys ever find yourself in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you want to go to the largest Christmas store in Texas, I believe, is that correct, Gerry?
It is. Yep. The second largest in the nation, largest in Texas. Yep. Decorator's Warehouse.
Yeah, there you go. Decorator's Warehouse, guys. The absolute Christmas hub. You ain't decorating unless you're decorating from Decorator's Warehouse. I gotta say that. So Gerry gets commercial grade decorations in there. I don't even know what that is. That's like the Griswolds, right? Like
it's good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Good stuff.
So,
but Corey came back. He said he just joined the Facebook group.
Oh, awesome.
I have Instagram, but not on it much. So.
There you go. You're doing the Lord's work there, Corey, getting on that stuff there. So. If there's nothing else, boys, we'll take us out of here for the night then. I'll let Gerry get back to being a dad for a little bit. Sorry, Gerry, to hold you so long. We appreciate your time.
That's okay, man. That's okay.
No, this was fun. This was very informative for me.
Dude,
I really am going to be looking for those Moon Knight trades.
You should. Yeah, I mean, definitely. If nothing else, you can at least read them on Marvel Unlimited. They're all on there, so you can start. And it's just, they're great issues, great runs. Even the David Finch one was great, but I start with Ellis. It kind of is like a good
and that's where I'm going to go. Yeah, that's where I'm going to go. So
absolutely, Amazon's got some money coming their way from these two guys. You created an itch.
There you go.
You created an itch for a couple of comics.
That's all it really takes for me. Yeah, you just kind of tell me a little bit about it. It sounds good. I'm buying it.
You said Mephisto, and I was like, getting reeled in. Here we go.
Well, that's in the Avengers. That's in the Avengers runs.
And Steve says real quick, Gerry. He says, "Come on down south, Gerry."
There you go.
Okay. Well,
Gerry's brother
I'm from South Texas. I usually drive through San Antonio. My brother still lives in San Antonio. I might be in the area in about a month, maybe month and a half. Dropping off my oldest is going to go stay with my folks for a couple of weeks for the summer. So I might be around there for a bit. So we'll see.
Yeah, we might be going to Dallas maybe in June, maybe for the Fan Expo. For the Fan Expo that they're going to have. Jim Lee's going to be there and Carl Pop. I'd like to get Punisher signed by both of them. That'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Very nice.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Maybe not. We'll see how it goes.
Hey, if we're up there, Joe, we'll stop by the warehouse, brother.
So we might not be open then if it's in June.
It's it's going to be like in the middle of June.
Okay. But I'll see what I can do.
Okay. We got stickers to exchange and merch to exchange with each other, I'm sure.
That's true. I got some stuff for y'all.
All right, guys.
Corey says, "Night, guys. See y'all next week for Strange."
Yes, I can't wait to hear your thoughts then, Corey. We'll see you then. Gerry, hope you're gonna pop in the guest lounge here.
I don't think I'm recording that night, but you never.
I don't believe you.
Double check.
I don't believe you. So you are. You're booked probably.
Well, it's possible. Let's see, the 13th.
If you can
Oh, I
hop
am.
in,
Yeah,
bro.
I am.
Yeah,
With Anthony
I,
and Todd. Yeah, sorry, but
I
if it's
knew you
early,
were.
What about Thursday?
I can. I'll try to pop in real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, what about Thursday? We're doing it early next week, Thursday.
Oh, it's Thursday. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I got nothing on Thursday.
Okay, cool.
All right, come on in, man. Hop
Because
on in.
I'll be all over that by then.
Yeah, and Corey, be ready Thursday, man. It's gonna not be Friday next week, guys. So Thursday next week for all you Friday nighters. Next week's episode will be on Thursday night. We're saying it now. I'll put out a post. I'll try. I say that, but I don't know. But either way, guys. Gerry D, again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for educating many of us on the trueness of Moon Knight. It was a pleasure to talk this particular topic with you, a true fan of something beyond just the show. And I think you made a couple of other new fans right here. So
right on. Right on.
Guys, for myself, CM Chuck, I've been CM Chuck.
Double A.
And I'm Gerry D.
Guys, this has been just another Friday night. Something we like to say at the end of every show. We like to remind you, if there is a hope, a dream, something that you wish to aspire to do, go out and do it. Now is the time to seize the day. Look at Stephen Grant. He wanted to be more than just a museum guy selling merch. Ended up finding out that he was the avatar for a Egyptian god. So he definitely sought more, just as Mark Spector sought more. And it seems like all of Moon Knight's personality
want more
identities are wanting more. So like Khonshu also wants more. So go out and do it, guys. Seize the day. That's what we say here. And the other thing we like to say is sometimes you got to do go above and beyond. Clearly, as Khonshu did in seeking out avatars, you got to do whatever it takes. We take that line directly from Avengers Endgame when Captain America tells his team, we're going to go back on this time heist. And we got to make it happen. We got to do whatever it takes. So that's what we like the words we like to live by here. Just another Friday night. I think Gerry would agree.
I agree. Whatever.
All right, guys. Yeah, so make sure you do it. Seize the day. Do whatever it takes. Thanks so much to all of you for being here with us tonight. All of you have a good night. See you next week, Thursday.
Later.